There are many great mysteries of the universe. Among them are, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Why did the chicken cross the road? And of course, the all-important non-poultry related question, is Barnard a part of Columbia? The internet has been going wild about this. And I'm here today, right now, to tell you the key facts about both institutions so you can make an informed decision by yourself. Let's start with what differentiates both institutions. Columbia has the core and Barnard has foundations. Both are different required classes, different courses that you have to take in order to graduate regardless of your major. Greek life. Barnard banned Greek life. So if you're going to join a sorority at Barnard, you have to do it through Columbia because sororities are only at Columbia. Only at Columbia. If you want to join a sorority at Barnard, you just cross the street and you join at Columbia. Athletics. If you're going to do athletics at Barnard and Columbia, you're going to do it through Columbia. Barnard doesn't have its own team, it doesn't have its own sports organization. If you're going to be recruited for athletics, you can go to Barnard, but you're going to play in the Ivy League division at Columbia. Dining dollars. Columbia has its own version of what Barnard calls points. You have dining dollars at Columbia and points at Barnard. Both of these things can be redeemed like cash at cafes, around campus for coffees, baked goods, all that kind of stuff. They just have different names. Dorms. Most of the time, aside from a few exceptions, if you are a Barnard student, you have to live in Barnard dorms, and if you're a Columbia student, then you live in Columbia dorms. Exceptions include sororities. Sorority brownstones are only at Columbia, so if you are a Barnard student and you're lucky enough to get a dorm housing option in one of the brownstones, then you technically live in Columbia housing. And another exception is that if you make your housing group half Barnard and half Columbia, I'm pretty sure you can opt to live anywhere you'd like. Now on to the similarities between the institutions. Classes. If you go to Barnard or Columbia, most of the time, half your day will be spent at Columbia, half will be spent at Barnard. You can take any class at either institution that you would like. Food. Although I mentioned dining dollars and points as a differentiating factor between the two institutions, you can actually eat wherever you want, regardless of if you go to Columbia or Barnard. Barnard students can eat at John Jay, JJ's, Ferris, Diana, Hewitt, all of those places, just like Columbia students can use their swipes over on Barnard's campus as well. Libraries. Both Barnard and Columbia students have access to libraries on either side of Broadway. We can go to Butler, they can come to the Milstein Center, etc. Campus events. Barnard students can go to Columbia's Bacchanal, and basically any event that's held at Columbia is going to be open to Columbia and Barnard students. Columbia students can come and do the events at Barnard if they wanted to. Extracurriculars. I can't really think of any extracurricular that is only for Barnard students or Columbia students, aside from the Barnard only a cappella group. But really besides that, if you want to join an extracurricular at Columbia and you're not technically a Columbia student, you can still do it. Just like if there's a club or an activity that's specifically at Barnard, if you're a Columbia student, you can come do it over here. And lastly, class registration. We all pick from the same list of classes. As I said before, we use the CU directory, so you have the same access to classes and professors. If there's a major that's only at Barnard or Columbia, and you are a Barnard versus Columbia student, you can still do that major, and you can even have advisors on either side of Broadway as well. If you're a Barnard student, you can have a Columbia advisor. If you're a Columbia student, you can have a Barnard advisor. So I hope this video was helpful. Perhaps it clarified some of your burning questions about, is Barnard a part of Columbia? Well, I can't say, why did the chicken cross the road? And I can't say, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I can say that as near I can tell, as a Barnard student, I was a part of Columbia. And if you don't agree, that's okay. You can have your own opinion. But those were the differences and the similarities. You know, don't pay attention to the College Confidential boards that say otherwise. I really think Barnard is a part of Columbia and vice versa. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, leave some video requests, DM us on Instagram, do all of the things. And I'll see you in our next video. Bye! Excuse me, ma'am? Ma'am? Is Barnard a part of Columbia? I just need to know.